How can you tell if an avoidant is hurting after a breakup? Avoidants can act in the weirdest ways when they're hurt. Plus, they're often not the best at showing or communicating their true feelings. On one hand, your avoidant ex can make it seem like their mind is completely made up. They simply don't care. But at the same time, some of the things they say and do just don't add up. Hi there, I'm Carolina, and I know what I'm talking about because I've been through it myself. Over 10 years ago, my then avoidant ex, now husband, kept on breaking up with me. Yet, he also sent me lots of mixed signals at the same time. He'd say things like, I don't want to be together, but then text me every other day. Or he'd claim, I don't see a future for us, yet he introduced me to his parents. It was confusing, heartbreaking, and frustrating. But we figured out our attachment issues, and now we help others navigate the same challenges. Avoidance behaviors after a breakup often don't make any sense at all. And honestly, it's because they themselves don't know what they're doing. That's why it's so important to keep a cool head and learn to read between the lines. In this video, I'll help you spot the key signs that your avoidant ex is hurting after a breakup and explain what it all means for your relationship. Sign number 1, they don't reach out to you. One of the most common indicators that an avoidant is hurt is when they go completely silent. They don't message you, don't call, and maybe don't even react to your posts or stories. But here's the thing, they haven't unfriended or blocked you either. Don't be fooled into thinking their silence means they don't care or that they've moved on. If the breakup happened just days or weeks ago, it's impossible for them to be over you already. Feelings for someone don't just disappear overnight. The silence is much more likely a sign they're hurt but stubborn. They may even be blaming you for this situation and giving you silent treatment because of it. I know this doesn't make any sense. If an avoidant is hurting after a breakup, why doesn't he or she just take it back? Why don't they just say, I changed my mind, or I'm torn about this decision? Avoidants are mostly too proud and too guarded to show this much vulnerability. This brings me to sign number 2. They are reserved and distant. Avoidants are known for becoming extra reserved and distant after a breakup. This can be confusing. It's normal for people to take some space after ending a relationship, but avoidants often take it to the next level. They might go completely cold or even start attacking you out of the blue, acting as though they're shutting you out entirely. Why do they do this? Their avoidant attachment is a result of experiences from their past. They themselves have been cut off or abandoned this way. Now they are repeating the cycle by putting you through the same thing. They usually have an excuse for cutting you off. They might believe you hurt them deeply, or it's because they don't trust you anymore and think you only want to take advantage of them. Regardless of their reasoning, an extreme rejection like this is often an indication they have the dismissive avoidant attachment style and also that they are hurt. Sadly, instead of trying to heal, avoidants sometimes lash out only to get back at you. But not every avoidant acts cold or distant after a breakup. My then ex, now husband, didn't. He was cool and unaffected, almost as though this painful decision didn't have any impact on him whatsoever. Another sign that an avoidant might actually be hurting deep down, it's when, number 3, they act like they don't care. Has your avoidant ex make it seem like the breakup didn't bother him or her in the slightest? They might have told you they're at peace, they're enjoying their single life, and even might encourage you to date someone else. But here's the truth. Human beings are complex and emotional individuals. Big changes, such as breakups, affect us a lot, whether we like it or not. We get used to routines and get attached to people. When someone who has been a part of your everyday life suddenly isn't there anymore, it's upsetting. This is true for everyone, including avoidants. So, if your avoidant ex is acting all chirpy or unbothered by anything, don't fall for it. It's an act. This decision did impact them. They're just pretending to be completely okay with it. Avoidants mastered the art of hiding their true feelings and playing it cool. So much so, they themselves often fall for their own act. They think they don't care. So they say things like, "You should just move on. I'm not right for you. You'd be happier with somebody else." Avoidants mostly aren't in touch with their feelings. So when they say things like this, it's just vague ideas to them. You can't take it too seriously. There are times when avoidants do express their true feelings somewhat more directly, though. This brings me to another sign you can look out for. Sign number 4, they provoke you on social media. This can be done by posting bikini selfies as well as sad quotes, songs, lyrics, or lonely photos of sunsets and empty landscapes. Or vague statements like this one: "Everything will work out in the end. You don't need to know how. You just have to trust that it will." When your avoidant ex posts things like this, it might make you feel like they're trying to tell you something. Well, that's because they are. They're trying to communicate through cryptic messages because they're too afraid to say things outright. But not only is this a sign they're heartbroken, it also shows they're missing you and possibly hoping you'll reach out. But perhaps you tried this already. Your ex was posting things that felt like a provocation, so you reached out, but only got burnt again. This brings me to the last sign of an avoidant hurting after a breakup. Number 5, they are dismissive or defensive. When you text an avoidant, they might respond with a one-word answer. You might say something thoughtful like, "Hey, I was passing by your work this morning. How is your project going?" Only to hear back, "Good." Or worse yet, they might respond defensively and attack you for being nice. They might say, "I told you I needed space. You always disregard my boundaries. This is why it could never work out between us." Not every avoidant will be quite this harsh. Most of them will be more dismissive than defensive. Either way, chatting with them will most likely make you feel anxious and like they don't care anymore. But the truth here is, it's not that they don't care. Avoidants are just this bad at communicating and at getting what they want. What do they want then, you might ask? Oh, that's simple, but also impossible. Avoidants want a perfect partner. Someone who will understand them without making them explain or even say anything. They also want someone who will just do what they want you to do without asking questions. Are these realistic expectations in a relationship? No, they're obviously not. Do avoidants believe that this kind of person exists? Yes, deep down they do. What's more, they're hurt that you're not the perfect partner, that you can't just understand them and give them what they want without asking, that you're not infinitely patient, or worse yet, that you have needs too. When an avoidant is defensive or dismissive after a breakup, it's a sign they are hurting because they thought you were perfect and it turned out that you're not. All right, let's recap. Here are the 5 signs an avoidant is hurting after a breakup. Number 1, they don't reach out to you. Number 2, they are reserved and distant. 3, they act like they don't care. 4, they provoke you on social media. 5, they are dismissive or defensive. So, what do all these signs mean about your relationship? Do they mean that your avoidant ex still loves you and that there's hope for you two to figure this out and get back together? Yes, they do. These are clear indicators that your ex isn't over you. There are still strong feelings between the two of you, some of which are good feelings, but potentially there are some bad ones too. These signs also mean that your avoidant ex has issues. He or she can't communicate. They are dismissive, quick to abandon you, and play power games to ensure that you remain hooked. When people talk about avoidant attachment, they often view it as though it was a bit like a wound or a disease, something that caused their partner pain. However, it's actually more like a bad habit, for example, smoking. Yes, it's bad for the person doing it, but it's harmful to everyone around them too. It's also something they are choosing to do and will not stop until they have to. Yes, your avoidant wants you to help them heal, but that requires you keeping them in check and making sure that this bad habit doesn't ruin what you two have. How do you do this? It's mostly about building yourself up and becoming more secure so that you can stand up to your partner and help them overcome their own attachment issues. If you're looking for a step by step guide on how to do this, we developed a program to help you with it, our Attach and Avoidant program. Here we tell you how to navigate all the typical pitfalls of a relationship with an avoidant partner. We explain what to say and do and how to text to make an avoidant trust you more, open up, and let you into their life more. If you want to check it out, I'll link it in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video and can understand your avoidant partner a little better now. If you found it helpful, please consider subscribing. Both my husband and I will be publishing more content on attachment styles on this channel. Thank you for watching and see you soon.